closed continent. We're very open. And I think Facebook will have a lot of data to support that assertion, that the continent is very, very open now. And with all these big players in our continent, it meant that data is being generated hugely. What do we do with that data? How do we make sense of it? The data storage, how do we create a value chain around the data? So if we look at things like cloud infrastructure, for instance, the services that goes with cloud infrastructure, the skill sets that are required, the human capacity, do we have it? So those, for me, are the questions we should be beginning to ask ourselves, that if we were to have a huge data center in Ghana that can mirror what pertains in San Francisco, do we have the skill set? Do we have the capacity to man them? The data analysts, the jobs that comes with all these infrastructure would help the value chain. But also, it would give our local players the confidence that things like latency and data sovereignty can be resolved, because you are in Africa, but you don't want your data to be sitting somewhere in San Francisco just for you to call someone on the phone to get access to it. You want to be able to say, oh, okay, the data center is in Nigeria, or it's in South Africa, or it's in Accra, so that quickly you can access that data that you're generating. Because that is a new currency. Data is a new currency. So data centers are very much required on the continent. We can no longer continue to be generating data for people elsewhere to control the data for us. Also, we're looking at things like cybersecurity. As a country, I think over the last 4 years, we've reinforced that conversation that even the month of October is our National Cybersecurity Month. That meant that not only are we generating the data, but how secured are they? How secured, as we push for digital inclusion, that can only happen based on trust. And how do you trust a system if you have fraudsters in that system, people suffering from mobile money fraud, people losing certain private information? That can only cause people to recoil back and say, look, this whole internet craze is not for me. So even as we push for digital inclusion through financial services, health, agro, tech, and all of that, it meant that we need to secure all that information that we are generating, and cybersecurity plays a very, very major role. So I think the commitment from the government to say that, look, we're even going to have a National Cybersecurity Authority, which has all the legal powers to crack down on fraud and all these naughty guys. It should reassure us as citizens to say, look, we're going somewhere, and even though we're not quite there yet, we're on the right track. I also want us to look at the local or the homegrown fintechs. If you look at our fintech space, it's predominantly dominated by local guys, and that's very, very refreshing, because hitherto we would have been talking about, the other bigger players like the MasterCard or the Visas, but now we talk about the ZPays, the Express Pays, and what have you. It meant that we're taking charge of our fintech space, and some of them are even moving across the country to other parts of Africa. So fintech is another area that's a testament to the growth of the ecosystem. And I keep going back to the central theme, that is impact. So all these conferences we've had, all these engagements we've had, all these stakeholder meetings we've had, how is it impacting the average person? Now, the average person can access some government digital services online. I don't remember if anybody here, the last time anybody picked up a passport application form, because now you can simply do it online. People can renew their health insurance policies by USSD codes. These are all benefits of a growing ecosystem, because it meant that the impact of all the conversations that the likes of AB 2020 are fostering, the message is going down. So people are now no longer scared of allowing themselves to use these platforms. Again, it also shows that there's a high interest in participating in the digital economy. When there was an announcement that we're going to have a new levy on e-transactions. I mean, almost everybody is up in arms. It's just a testament to show that everybody is using a digital platform one way or the other, and so they don't want it to be impacted with a higher tax or with a tax at all. That for me is a testament that, yes, what we used to say that the average person is no longer average as such, but they're all now getting digitally literate one way or the other, even in their own small way. And we have great partners like the GIZ introducing things like digital transformation centers, which is connecting the unconnected in our rural areas to digital training, digital skills, which means that in the next, say, 5 years, we should see a revolution of everybody deciding that, look, why don't we even dare to vote online? Why don't we even dare to have elections online? Why do I have to go and queue to vote for a person? Why can't I just do it by USSD code or by some online app or something? And I look forward to that revolution in happen. But I think all in all, the 8th edition, which for me I think is a new beginning for AB 2020, should refocus our minds and look at impact of all that we've been doing. At this point, I think I'll drop the mic and I'll let the show continue. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this warm welcome, and also for spelling my name rightly, because it's a complicated, even in German, complicated name. So good morning, everybody, movers and shakers of Ghana's digital innovation ecosystems, representatives of the private sector, representative of public agencies, entrepreneurs, and so on. I'm really very happy to be here today, to join you today in this exciting journey. And I think we have already heard a lot about the challenges and also the successes of Tech of Ghana. And I thank you very much, Akosua, that you brought me through your journey, because I was not so much aware. As you might imagine, I'm not a digital native. I'm not part of this very exciting community. So I think it's not necessary to talk about why it is important to have tech in Ghana. I think that is very clear, and I am very happy that it is now possible also for me today to be here and see what is going on. I think there has been a lot of development, evolution in the topic of digitalization, but maybe only considering certain persons, certain groups, certain aspects. But now, and I would like to recall also COVID-19 and the adverse consequences that we saw, for example, businesses shutting down, physical and social distancing, to mention a few. And so these consequences brought people who have not been in touch with the topics of digitalization to think about how they can use that in order to overcome these adverse consequences. So entrepreneurs and startups had to think about alternative ways to operate, how to sell when you can't open your shop, when you don't see your client anymore, for example. And so I think that is why digitization is becoming much more important nowadays. And also we see, and we will see more, these immense possibilities and opportunities which we have. Because digital innovation transformation is really changing the way we operate and conduct business. And I'm not talking about private business. There was mentioned the question of e-commerce and voting and so on. So digitization will have an influence on all our operations. It will have an influence on the way we learn, the way we communicate. So I think it is also for the African continent the game changer. And if all relevant stakeholders, policymakers, tech companies, entrepreneurs contribute within their scope, then there is an opportunity to boost economic growth and improve people's life. And I think the theme is tech, entrepreneurship and sustainability, and that is what it's about. And I liked very much when David spoke about the young people, that they now see their possibilities within what digitization offers, and that they are not looking for greener pastures abroad. So I think this is not news to most of you. Many of you are already contributing to this change. And but I would also to recall some of the challenges which were mentioned also by David, because I liked his speech very much and I felt his enthusiasm, and I like people who are convinced of what they are doing, like Okosho and David. So there are also a lot of challenges, and so you were talking about partners. So we as GIZ, German Development Corporation, and in particular we as GIZ, we are a partner in this process and trying to contribute to overcome some of these challenges, or to contribute jointly to overcome some of these challenges. So who is GIZ? Who does not know us? We are a provider of international cooperation services for sustainable development, and we work mostly on behalf of the German federal government. So together with our Ghanaian counterparts, we implement interventions which are aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. So we support our partners in government, so civil society, private sector and academia to make the most out of the opportunities of digital transformation and ensure that they reach and benefit as many as possible. And this vision we share with one of our main partners at the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization. It is that of an inclusive digital economy in society in which every citizen, notably women and youth, can participate in the digital world. Just to open a little bit the picture, let me talk where we are also working very shortly. We're working in 3 priority areas: training and sustainable growth for decent jobs, which covers TVET, private sector and financial sector development; energy and climate, where we work mainly, but not only, on renewable energy, energy efficiency, and in the topic of good governance. We are not an NGO. Our work scope comes on the basis of negotiations between negotiations and joint agreements between the governments of Ghana and Germany, where specific cooperation projects are agreed on. And therefore, during the intergovernmental negotiations in 2020, Germany and Ghana agreed to initiate a collaboration on digital transformation with a project called Digital Transformation Center. It was also mentioned by David. I was listening to his speech very carefully, as you can see.